For decades, human civilization's story was taught as a straight line. First, we were nomadic hunter-gatherers. Then, we learned to plant seeds and farm. That reliable food supply allowed us to settle into towns and eventually build massive stone monuments. According to this timeline, our architectural achievements arrived relatively late. We view structures like Stonehenge or the Great Pyramids of Giza as the result of settled societies, rising up thousands of years after we mastered agriculture. In the Deep Ice Age, the archaeological record looks different. For thousands of years, our ancestors relied on basic survival tools, chipping simple hand axes out of flint to process hides and meat. Curious, shifting tone. But in 1994, a discovery in the dusty hills of southern Turkey broke that neat linear narrative. Archaeologists unearthed a site called Göbekli Tepe, and testing revealed it was built roughly 12,000 years ago. That date places a complex, monument-building society a full 6,000 years before Stonehenge. Crucially, it places them before the invention of agriculture. We found a stone temple built by people who, according to our current models, should have been focused entirely on day-to-day survival. The site consists of wide subterranean circular enclosures, dug deep into the earth and lined with towering megaliths. To understand the engineering problem here, you have to remember the technological limits of the era. These builders did not have metal tools to cut rock. They lacked beasts of burden to pull heavy loads, and they had absolutely no knowledge of the wheel. And yet, they successfully quarried and transported these massive T-shaped limestone pillars. Some of these individual stones weigh up to 60 tons, and they didn't just drag them into a rough circle, they placed them with exact mathematical alignment. The masonry techniques are equally advanced. Look at the surface of this pillar. They used high-relief carving to shape complex predator figures directly out of the solid rock, rather than just scratching images onto the surface. Mastering three-dimensional art and heavy transport requires a level of social organization and specialized labor that nomadic hunter-gatherers aren't supposed to possess. It contradicts our most basic rules about how early societies develop. The layout of the stones reveals a deeper intent. The complex relies on strict geometric planning, with the central pillars of the enclosures oriented perfectly along a precise north-south axis. This orientation allowed the builders to track celestial movements over time. The sanctuary specifically aligns toward the constellation Cygnus and the star Sirius, using the megaliths as fixed sightlines against the night sky. This limestone block is the vulture stone. Notice the three distinct basket shapes across the top edge and the complex cluster of animal figures below. They used these carvings to record information. By matching these recurring animal symbols, like the vulture and scorpion, to specific star constellations, researchers suggest this pillar documents a cataclysmic comet impact. These carvings record an event that shifted the Earth's climate for generations. By fixing these celestial events in stone, the builders created a permanent archive of astronomical time. They turned the temple into a functional tracking station, capable of monitoring shifts in the heavens over hundreds of years. This pushes Ice Age logistics to a breaking point. You cannot house and feed thousands of stonemasons, laborers, and astronomers for decades by just foraging for wild berries and hunting local game. To support a project of this scale, the builders needed a reliable, high-yield food source. They were forced into figuring out how to cultivate crops to keep their specialized workers alive. The physical evidence of a deep spiritual obsession with ritual at the site directly coincides with the sudden domestication of wild einkorn wheat in this exact same region. This reverses the accepted cause and effect chain of human history. Agriculture didn't give humans the free time to build temples. Instead, the psychological drive to build a monument forced humans to invent agriculture. After centuries of use, the builders engaged in a final, deliberate act of concealment. They systematically hauled in tons of dirt and gravel to bury the entire complex, sealing the site away. Recent 2026 excavation data suggests this wasn't an isolated event. Göbekli Tepe appears to be one node in a vast interconnected network of similar buried sites stretching across the region, including Karahan Tepe. These buried structures prove that the capacity for massive coordination and architectural precision existed long before our textbooks allow. It suggests that our drive to build and observe the cosmos is what forced us to become the farmers we are